23rd. Hallmark, when you care to send the very best. It was my grandmother's birthday this week, and so I went to buy her a card, but nothing too sentimental, no basket full of kittens playing with yarn or bears baking cookies, because my grandmother's not that type. And so I picked out a very nice card, and I was going to pay for it, and I realized it was not a Hallmark card. It was of another company. It was not Hallmark. And I thought, what should I do? What does it make me, a bum if I don't send a Hallmark card? How did they get to be the big shots of card selling? So I decided to send it anyway, because she does not deserve the very best. Because every December, for the last 17 years, I get a check for $25 for the holidays. For the holidays, I send the super more money as a tip. And that's for both holidays, Hanukkah and Christmas. Because, you see, I am a Jew. That was Laurence Olivier and the Jazz Singer and the Boys from Brazil and Marathon Man. Because my last name is Reilly, because my father is Irish Catholic. My mother is Jewish, so according to the rules of the Bible, I would be a Jew. But in spite of that, growing up, I was always called half-breed. That's all I ever heard. Half-breed. Both sides were against me since the day I was born. They must think that we're all stupid, that the nation is totally fooled to believe such a preposterous story that they have fabricated for 35 years, when I have studied this for quite a long time. And there is no doubt that there was a second gunman, that George Reeves did not commit suicide because of the trajectory of the bullet and the angle in which he was found. And another disturbing element of the whole affair is that anyone who came into contact with him immediately before the supposed suicide met with untimely ends. The landlady who discovered the body, dead in a year. The paper boy who delivered papers every day. He was run over 6 weeks later. Castro was in La Jolla the week before. And they expect us to believe that George Reeves committed suicide. If I had the time, I would show you exactly the angle and the penetration in the quadrant of the brain, which is still missing. I had a very hard day at the movies today. First, I went to see the Woody Allen movie, and that was very good. And then I went down to the quad over here to see this movie with Marcello Mastroianni, where he falls in love with a dwarf, and that was very good also. But I'm waiting because I read that Disney bought the rights. They were always remaking things, and we'll have Anthony Hopkins and Julia Roberts as the dwarf, because, you know, with these computers, they can do anything. And you know, the winter is coming, and last year, I remember, was the Super Bowl Sunday, and you know, I'm so interested in it that I watched Tootsie on Channel 11 for like the 10th time. And you notice things when you look at a great work of art. You notice things that you didn't see the previous time. And of course, Dustin Hoffman is Michael Dorsey, and he dresses up as Dorothy Michaels, and he goes to audition for a soap opera, and he just so impresses everyone with his reading that he gets hired, just like that. He just walks in off the street, to a soap opera and gets hired. And not only that, he's on TV a week later without a SAG card or an AFTRA card, without a medical examination. No one notices when he does his makeup. He goes on Barbara Walters as the character. She never asks him where he's from, who his relatives are, where did he come from. He just fell from the sky. A lot of things bother me that are very important. And that's one of them. People are always saying, "Oh, you're so thin. How do you do it? You stay so thin. Or you're born that way?" No, I was very, very overweight as a child. I was humongous. I was like Charles Lawton Jr. And when I had my bar mitzvah and we went to get the suit, and we couldn't find a suit because there were none that were made in the proportions in which I had developed. They couldn't find any suit that would fit me. So I had to get a sport jacket and a pair of pants, a separate pair of pants. And even that was a problem. And the salesman said to my grandmother, "Well, there's really not much we can do in his present condition, is there? We'll do the best we can." And I've been trying. So, to lose weight, I found it very simple. I just have a shake for breakfast, a shake for lunch, and at night, I just eat everything I can. Well, yeah, and in the health food store, I've noticed when I go into the health food store, there are a lot of fat people in there. A lot of fat people go into health food stores. Is this a cruel, sick joke? What is their problem? And and they're mentally deranged. I was online at the health food store, and the woman comes up to me and says, "Oh, are you online?" "No, ma'am. I'm with the FBI, and we have that shoe store across the street under surveillance." "Yes, I'm online." And the same thing when I go to the movies. I've been going to the movies all my life in Manhattan. And, you go to a big new movie, Pulp Fiction or something like that, and you buy your ticket, and you stand outside, and you wait to get in. And someone always walks by and says, "Oh, do you already have your tickets? Is this the line? Is this the line for tickets? Tickets? Where do I get the tickets? Do you already have your tickets? Have they never gone to the movies before?" There's so many overwhelming things that I'm consumed with in life. And time is one of them. Yeah, so when I was a child, my father was not Jewish. He was Irish Catholic, but he was a very learned man, a very scholarly gentleman. I would come home after a day at Hebrew school, and he'd put his can of Rheingold down and look up from his daily news and say, "Oh, so how was Jew school today?" And when I would go, they would look through the roll every year. Every year, you'd start a new grade of Hebrew school. And the new teacher, who didn't know me, he'd call down the roll. Pincus, Rabinowitz, Reilly? Well, you see, my father is... okay. And so... well... yes, so, so I did go to the movies twice today, and you can do that when you don't have a regular job and you're a bum, which is what I am, with a one-way ticket to Palookaville. Yeah, so I've tried to get into the movies. People are always telling me that. "You should be in the movies." And I say, I'm trying. And I've been an extra, in the Bonfire of the Vanities, in the courthouse. We were outside. There's all this to do inside with Tom Hanks, and we're outside. He was never there. They filmed, those scenes back in Burbank, but we were here on 161st Street, and you had to wear a suit and tie, and it was August, and we had to be very animated with our briefcases. And before that, if you're ever an extra, since it's usually for a crowd, they have an area downstairs, all the way downstairs in the darkness. It's called the holding area, as if we've done something wrong. And to make it easier for the PAs, they're always involved. Those are the production assistants. They designated half of us as apples and half of us as oranges. Grown people, serious actors, and I'm an orange. I studied with Uda, I'll have you know, you PA. And yeah, so they bring us on the set. It's August, but it's really supposed to be autumn. It's supposed to be autumn, so we're all bundled up in August. And that's show business. And to get into something like that, to be an extra, you just can't walk in off the street. You have to be serious about it. You have to have your pictures. You have to have your headshots. You have to go to the photographer and be very careful and look through the portfolio because the pictures that you send out are very important, because those are so the people who don't want to see you can know what you look like. And one evening, I was walking in the village, and I passed by the Public Theater. The Public Theater, a great institution of Shakespeare and avant-garde, home to all the actors in New York. And as I was walking in the street, in the gutter, I saw strewn across Lafayette Street hundreds of these headshots, trampled upon by cars and sneezed on, all laying on the floor. And I picked one up, one that had the tire marks of a bus on them. And it was Carol Smith. And I turned it over, and she was a bright, perky young girl from Kansas. And she went to the university there. And she was in The Music Man and Bye Bye Birdie. And there she was in the gutter. And that's show business. I just went out to check at the bar, and I know you're all interested. Scarlett is leaving Ireland. When you care to send the very best, send Hallmark. It was my grandmother's birthday this week, and I went to the store to pick out a card to send to her. But nothing too sentimental, no kittens playing with yarn or bears baking cookies, because she has a heart of darkness. I picked out something very simple, flowers, love to you on this very special day, so on. And I went up to the cashier to pay for it, and I turned it over just to see how extravagant it was. And it was not a Hallmark card. It was not a Hallmark card. It was another major card company, but not Hallmark. And I broke out into a cold sweat because since childhood, I've been brainwashed that if you don't send a Hallmark card, you're an inconsiderate slob. How did they get to be the big cheese of card selling? It's always been that way. So I decided I'll just get the card because she doesn't deserve the very best. Because every time around this year, for the last 16 years, I get a check for $25. And for the holidays. And okay, that was a lot of money when I was 11. I have student loans, I have expenses. So I don't mean to be mean about it, but, you know, I wrote back, you know, dear Grandma, thanks a lot. I got a haircut and saw the cone heads on tape. And that check is for both holidays. Hanukkah and Christmas. Because you see, my last name is Reilly because my father is Irish, but my mother is Jewish. So, according to the rules of the Bible, I am a Jew! Laurence Olivier in Marathon Man, the boys from Brazil, and the jazz singer. So, growing up, I went to Hebrew school, and I did very well there. But the same torment every year. We started a new grade, and the teacher would read down the roll. Pincus, Rabinowitz, Reilly? And I'd come home from Hebrew school, and my father would be there, a very erudite, sensitive, knowledgeable gentleman. And he'd put down his can of Rheingold and look up from his daily news and ask, what'd you learn in Jew school today? Do they really take us to be such gullible fools? After all this time, to continue the deceit and distortions and the lie, that after all this time, the whole country is supposed to believe it was the work of one gunman. That with all the contradictory evidence, all of the investigations, that we're all just supposed to believe, that they would have us believe that we're that stupid that George Reeves committed suicide. There are many disturbing aspects of this case, and the Paley Commission has perpetuated the myth for over 30 years that he was despondent after the show The Adventures of Superman was canceled in 1957, and that this led to his supposed suicide, when in fact, that was Eisenhower's favorite program. Alan Dulles of the CIA recruited Reeves into covert operations. And in 1958, on October 15th, John Hamilton, who played Perry White, died mysteriously of a heart attack. Batista fled Cuba on the 23rd of December of that year. And June 12th, 1959, Castro was in La Jolla. Reeves was found dead June 14th. And this is supposedly a coincidence. But the most damning aspect of it all would be the slides taken at the autopsy of the brain. I'm not permitted to show you those slides, which would show inconclusively the trajectory of the bullet. The powder burns were from a distance of 50 feet away. He did not commit suicide. The brain, unfortunately, has supposedly been missing for 35 years. I could go on with this, but I'm exhausted. I had a very hard day at the movies. I saw 2 movies today, and you can do that when you don't have a regular job and you're a bum, which is what I am. one-way ticket to Palookaville. So first I saw Interview with the Vampire. I'm sure it made $40 million. I'm sure a lot of people must have seen it. And as I started watching it, I was spellbound. I was mesmerized. It was captivating. It was just enthralling. It was, I couldn't get over it. And then Tom Cruise came on. And then I went to see this new Spanish movie with Marcello Mastroianni. He plays a man who falls in love and marries a dwarf. And I was very interested to see it because Disney is remaking it, you know, with Anthony Hopkins and Julia Roberts as the dwarf, because you need a big name. And with computers, they can do anything. And yeah, so 2 movies in one day, I was wiped out. And no, I was in a movie. I was in The Bonfire of the Vanities. It didn't hurt my career, because I was an extra. And when you're an extra in a movie, this was in August, we were by the courthouse, and I had to wear a suit and tie and a coat because we were supposed to be filming in the fall. And we had to have our briefcases, we were very animated, we were outside. And, you know, being an extra is not that easy. You watch the movies the next time, especially when someone's in a restaurant scene. There'll be Andy Garcia and Meg Ryan, and then in the background will be these extras, which are very serious actors. And you watch, you know, you have your eye on Andy Garcia, but, you know, you watch in the background. Because those people are putting everything they have into it. And so to be an extra, no matter where you do this, because it's usually in a crowd, they have you down very deep, very dark, down, in the holding area. They call it the holding area, as if you've done something wrong. And that's to keep, so the PAs can keep track of you. Those are the production assistants. They are relatives that run around with walkie-talkies, controlling everything, and then they bring us up. And the man, our PA, he, to make it easier, he designated half of us as apples, and half of us as oranges. And, you know, I protested. I said, you know, I am not an orange. I studied with Una. And the other night, I was walking in the village, and I went past the Public Theater. The Public Theater, it's a great institution, the New York Shakespeare Festival, Joe Papp, many fine, distinguished productions have been done there. It's a beacon in this city. And so I was walking by, and I crossed Lafayette Street, and there, in the gutter, were strewn hundreds of headshots. These are the photos that the actors take of themselves. And there's a lot of effort that goes into this, you know, looking at the portfolios, going to the photographer, you know, picking from the proof sheet, because it's very important, because these are so that the people who don't want to see you can know what you look like. And so I was curious. I bent down, and there in the gutter, strewn all over, hundreds of headshots. It must have been a casting session there or something. And I picked one up, and it was a bright young girl from Ohio, Carol Thompson. Bright, smiling, blonde girl. And I turned it over, and I saw her service number, and I saw her credits. She did Under the Yum Yum Tree at the Pepper Pot Playhouse. She was in Bye Bye Birdie at the Alhambra Dinner Theater. And now she'd come to New York, and she was at the neighborhood playhouse, and she'd studied with Sandy Dennis. And I turned back to her picture, and I wanted to get a better look at it, and I gazed at it, and through the the tire marks and the slime encrusted on it. It radiated with the glow of optimism and hope. And I wanted to try to, I wanted to speak to Carol Thompson. I wanted to find her and embrace her and tell her to go back to Ohio. I've just enough time to get home and see what color Charlie Rose's hair is tonight. Every week it's a different color. Well, thank you all for missing Scarlett for me, and thanks a lot. Go down!
And Renee Testa contingent starting the campaign for '96 because it wasn't. What happened for Darryl Reilly and Chris Caney? All making it amazingly the first time. It's amazing. So I remember the days when people weren't good when they started. Now everybody's funny right from the first time. It's incredible. And remember that, Bill? Now. It's all through my tutelage, I think. I've never said the word tutelage in public before, and I don't even know if it's the correct word. Anyway, but we have only about 60 more comics to go. We have a lovely buffet in the back later on. So, but again, I want to. You're a great crowd for the debutantes tonight, and now it's veterans from now on. But our next act, it's one of my favorite comedians, and he actually has done more TV shows than there are people left here in the audience tonight. Among a few of them, Caroline's Comedy Hour, Comedy on the
My holidays were going pretty well. I saw a lot of good entertainment. Lamb Chop was on Broadway, you know. It was cute. But $65 to see an old lady in a sock. And I saw this one-man show of Christmas Carol. It was supposed to be with Patrick Stewart, but he left. He was going to do Silence of the Lambs on television. So they got to force Kelly to take his place. And he was good, but he hadn't been on stage in a long time. It was weird. Damn it, Bob Cratchit! I'm a doctor, not the owner of a counting house. Ghost of Christmas Future. If I'm just beamed up to sick bay, I could save Tiny Tim. I saw that Star Trek movie also. It was you really had to be a Trekkie. It was all about ribbons and nexuses, but I thought Steve Martin was really good in it. And I got a lot of great Christmas presents too. 3 more acrylic sweaters for my collection. I had them mounted. Oh, and I got the Rolling Stone calendar, but I'm going to bring it back because the thought of spending the whole month of April looking at Lou Reed is just too scary. And I got my holiday check from my grandma in Miami. $25. For the last 14 years, $25. I send the super more money than that as a tip. And, you know, that $25, it's for both holidays. Hanukkah and Christmas. Because my last name is Reilly, because my father is Irish Catholic, and my mother is a Jew. So according to the rules of the Bible, I am a Jew! Laurence Olivier and Marathon Man, the boys from Brazil, and the jazz singer. And as a child, Prozac. As a child, I went to Hebrew school, and I did very well there. It was very interesting. And I'd come home from school, and my father was a very knowledgeable, educated, erudite man. He'd put down his can of Rheingold and look up from his daily news and ask, "What'd you learn in Jew school today?" You know, yeah, all these people tonight, you know, they just come from A&E, they've just been on television, and, you know, I try to let it get to me, because, you know, I was this close to being on Saturday Night Live. I was this close. I was walking past Rockefeller Center a few months ago, and David Spade was ahead of me, this guy David Spade. And they came and they grabbed him off the street and took him on. I mean, that's how they get those people. But I shouldn't complain, because I'm more involved in the theater. I believe more in the theater. I mean, last month I was finishing up a play. I was in the Akakaya Repertory Company. It's in a tool shed on Avenue C. We were doing Ionesco's Exit the King, and there's talk of moving it to Ludlow Street. We got a great review in backstage. They said I was sublimely sardonic. So anyway, I was walking home through the East Village, and I was walking up St. Mark's Place, and I always feel a little out of place, because I've been to the dentist in the last year, I've taken a bath in the last day, and I only have one body part pierced. And so, as I got up to Lafayette Street, I passed by the Public Theater, and it's a great theater in New York, and in the gutter, by the Public Theater, was hundreds of headshots. Those are the pictures that all the actors take such great pains to produce. Those are so that the people who don't want to see you can know what you look like. And there in the gutter were all these headshots, and I reached down, and there was one. It glowed. It had this aura. It was this young girl, Carol Thompson from Ohio. And I turned it over, and there was her resume. And she went to Northwestern, and she did Under the Yum Yum Tree at the Pepper Pot Playhouse, and Bye Bye Birdie at the TP Dinner Theater. And here she was in New York. She studied at the HB Studio with Sandy Dennis. And now, here she was in the gutter. And through the slime, through the filth, I could see that aura, that glow of that fresh young kid. And I wanted to find Carol Thompson, and I wanted to hug her, and I wanted to say, go back to Ohio. Well, thank you for your support.